So let me first introduce the panelists. So we have Mikkilä from ABLOY, Customer Experience Manager, Lotta from KONE, Head of Service and Digital Design, and then Lars Nordqvist from F-Secure, Design Director. And we will be facilitating together with Marion. So Marion will be the co-facilitator with me.
Let's start. Many of us have started our presentation with the main challenges. So here is our first question about your challenges in customer centricity. So could you share with us some of your most difficult or most memorable challenges that you faced while working on this customer-centric transformation in your different roles? I don't know which one wants to start.
Ladies first. I can go first. Oh, thank you for the question. It sounds really stupid, but I think that a lack of common base, or it sounds really simple, not stupid, but a lack of common base of understanding is like the first key thing to overcome. So as simple things like terminology, people talk about the same things using widely different terminology. So what is CX, what is UX, what is UI, what is customer journey? It's kind of clear, maybe, for the people in this room, but it's definitely not clear across the stakeholder spectrum. So establishing the language has been super, super useful. What do we mean? And it doesn't matter if the definitions are right or wrong, it just matters that they're shared, so that everybody kind of has the same perception of what we're actually talking about and what kind of methods and solutions we want to put in play. In short.
Yes, thanks for a good question. I could maybe start with short explaining kind of the context of KONE. So, well, if you're from Finland, you know KONE, but if you're not from here, it's an elevator-escalator company, also doing a lot of service work, so about half our revenue comes from services. And we have a very, there's 60,000 people working for KONE globally, so it's a huge organization. And we have said in the strategy that we aim for sustainable success with our customers. So we are really kind of on a strategy that are already customer-centric. So that's kind of the baseline. And when we come into the challenges here, we do, of course, also have those. I think the biggest challenge is the organizational structure, and that it's such a big corporation. We have the global where we are working. We have several colleagues from KONE here today. So we work in the global, but we have areas and front lines. So they're the kind of the country organizations, and they are the ones owning the customers and customer relationships. So, and of course, the global organization is divided into different business lines, and we have R&D separately, we have IT separately. So to find the common ways of working and finding kind of how we do customer centricity really on kind of an everyday, that's maybe the biggest challenge.
Okay, yes. If I continue and a bit shortly about ABLOY, probably everyone has ABLOY's key in your pockets or somewhere, or nowadays even more like in a digital format. So this is the transformation we are in the middle. So going from totally physical to digital, and more digital. And that's, I could say that ABLOY has been, and maybe quite many manufacturing companies have been earlier quite product driven, and now going to the customer driven. And when it comes to challenges, and it's not just about ABLOY, and this is quite new position with me, but earlier I would say it starts from leadership. It's the management buy-in. It all starts from this. That's my learning. If that is not placed, nothing happens, nothing moves. you get the, as already mentioned, not invented here, approaches and everything. So that has to happen first. But when you have it, then it's excellent. This is the case at the moment. So it's lovely when it works. And what about the other challenges maybe is also the data. I would say that when we talk about the data connected to customers and customer-centricity, it's quite fragmented typically, and have that connected to the business every time and get people interested on that data as well. I think that's also, I could name a few more, but maybe we continue to other questions.
But how about you keep them right?
Yeah. All right.
Next question, or our next question.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So maybe if you think about how you tackle some of those challenges, could you share with us some of the success stories?
Yeah.
In our discussion or preparation discussion with Esa, we realized that it's very important to celebrate the small wins.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
could you maybe give us some of those success stories? Could you
Okay.
share?
Right. Okay. Like you mentioned, even smaller successes counts, or count. So I would say, for example, when starting in ABLOY, I think the thing that I have already succeeded is like we have established a model that who owns the customer experience. And make it, of course, it's on the leadership level as well, starting and the buying, but also the owning the customer experience, making people accountable, and announcing people, getting people onboarded on this topic. I think it has worked quite well. And of course, there are different projects and services and everything where there are already owners. But there are so many things that are related to customer experience and feedback. When you get people that own this, all the other stuff that is around and how we are listening to customer, that's also something. And maybe one thing more is make customer experience data visible. Starting from that, we have created a dashboard where we have collected customer experience related data. What we have at the moment, it's not perfect. It's like the version 1.0, but nevertheless we have it and it's open for everyone in the company.
Can you hear me?
Very well.
Yeah, so I've been with KONE for about 3.5 years, and I would say maybe the biggest success that I would kind of personally recognize is how much we talk about the customers. It's when we start a new project, we start to work with new internal stakeholders, it's self-evident that we talk about the customers. And maybe when I started, we still needed to kind of convince our internal stakeholders that we need some customer insights, we need to understand the customers, we need to understand the customer value, and now it comes more as given. So that's a sign of the organization actually changing. We have some small kind of things that we have been working on, maybe the small successes that of course are the ones that I see that lead towards this bigger change. And of course it's also super important to have the leadership on board and to have things also outlined in the strategy. We work in design, so we're part of the R&D organization, and we have had for a few years an initiative called Start and End with the Customer. And we have Lisa here in the first row, and she has been super much involved in that initiative. And if you have any questions, please contact her after the discussion. So we have been working, we have also the Insight Repository tool was mentioned earlier. So we have been piloting such, and we have taken it into use. It's not like in a large use yet, but that's like one of those kind of things that we have done. We also have a concept called a customer hour, and Lisa is responsible for that. So she's blocking everybody's calendar for 1 hour per week and sharing topics that we should kind of read about customers, collecting different kind of research. It might be things regarding journeys, how to do journeys and stuff like that. So those are like small things that we have been doing more within our own R&D organization. So big and small. Success, yeah.
Oh, there's some weird noise in the background. Hopefully that's not a distraction. So yes, I forgot completely about the context. So F-Secure, that's where I work, and jumping straight to solutions. We've been kind of moving in this direction for about a year. I've been at the company for about 9 months, and I think that there's a couple of milestones that we made, like achievements that could be counted as successes. First of all, we started with management buy-in, which was a luxurious situation to start from, obviously, and that has made velocity completely. It's possible to attain completely different velocity than it would without it. If you would have to sell the idea, then that would be tough. But I haven't had to do that, so we have to just enjoy the headwind as we go along. So maybe the first thing was the terminology I already mentioned. That's kind of the first hurdle, the most simple thing. And then the framework, we've already heard people talk about that. It really, really helps to put kind of what we're doing into language that people understand, utilizing existing terminology across the organization, like customer lifecycle phases. It's stuff that everybody, or more or less everybody, has any kind of touch or interface towards marketing business understands. So establishing the framework is another one. And then tying kind of the outcomes that we want to achieve to business goals and making sure that we have a clear sort of cause and effect. If this is what we want to achieve, well, these are the outcomes that this customer journey management will bring to us, so that it's embedded in the OKRs, so that people can kind of be held accountable. Now I'm repeating a lot of themes here, but it really is important. People need to feel involved and feel like they're driving this. Showing quick wins, another big thing. You need to be able to, on a short, we all know examples where different organizations are working years and years and years to do this. And C-level executives are fickle beings. They see shiny objects elsewhere, and they will turn their attention elsewhere, and there goes the investment appetite. So kind of making sure that there's a roadmap which will deliver candy to the candy start executives periodically. Give them their soul, then everything's good, and then you can keep that velocity going. And I had another thing, now I immediately forgot it, but that's a good place to start, or it's worked for us. At the very least.
You already touched upon the Connect question, but based on my many attempts to get to the sweet stuff there, I've been stopped, and often the discussion is about that I really want to do this, but how do I manage to sell this to the top management? So how do I get that appetite from them, those shiny things? How can we make this so shiny that the management really kind of wants to do this?
Well,
make some notes now.
Here's the honest. I think the truth is that, at least for us, and again speaking only from sort of our context, we don't know what the hell we're doing. This is a new thing. We've been at it for a fairly short while, but we need a vision. There needs to be a vision. And when things get murky and there are hard questions and there are maybe questions that cannot immediately be answered, there needs to be a strong vision of what the outcome is, what do we want to accomplish. Because that vision will carry us through kind of the fall. And that vision can be then utilized to sort of, okay, well, we don't know, but we'll figure it out. And we need to, it helps that, again, the buy-in is there, so that they believe the vision and they kind of trust in the executive or the organization that executes this and the people involved. That they can take us towards the vision, even if not all answers are always clear. So, hope you, I guess that's what I'm saying.
Now I push the button. No, it still works. I think like we discussed just before the panel discussion here during the break, that kind of to find, I would call this a common enabler, like think about the journeys, that is something that touches the whole organization, and finding I would still in our organization talk about like ownership, finding the ownership and finding the budgets for these common enablers in an organization that is fairly siloed is pretty difficult. So I would say that's like one thing, and then I think when we do have like journeys at development and we do work with them, we have been trying, they do, and we have Mari and Katrin from our customer strategy team working on the journeys on a daily basis. I still see that kind of, we also, to get the buy-in, we need to really clearly specify why do we do journeys at KONE, why do we need these, for whom do we build them, who will use them, how will they use them, how will we update them, how will they keep kind of, how do we connect to all the data points. It doesn't need to be a long strategy, but we need to define a few things together with the internal stakeholders, and then I think we can kind of more easily go forward from there. Did that answer your question, or was it?
Thank you. Well, we're only talking about the customer journey that leadership would understand, or overall the buy. Overall, yes. Okay. Overall, I think whatever is the topic, I would say if people try things themselves, it always helps. And then I would refer, I haven't gone there yet, but when it comes to journey mapping and things like that, I think management also needs that kind of training or education, coaching. I would do that when talking about journey mapping and things. But overall, I would, regarding the buying, I would, and I have been able to do that, to be present, have presence in leadership meetings, or of course have who is the owner of customer experience in there. There has to be a name, who is that, and everything. But be there, present, and make noise, and be visible, also for employees overall. But those came to my mind at the moment, because I'm now, like I said, I'm in that happy situation that the buying is there. But it's a good point that how to get that lasting. Because, for example, there comes new organizational changes, and then people are now heading for those, and they forgot probably. So then I think it's our responsibility to keep noise and say, what about this? How we will be organized? What's beneficial? How we show the customer value in this change? Also, because those changes will happen. And by the way, I've learned one colleague from ABLOY, because we are part of a bigger group, of course. So there's one colleague who has been working in this area for 10 years. And there is already in her area, there are different brands, what they are working. Let's talk about numbers. So there has been like an NPS score with certain brands, because there are a lot of brands in ABLOY, it's like 90. But again, it's like consistent work. And also that person is referring, the more people are doing and focusing on the things, the more are the results, and better are the results overall. Okay. That went a bit off, but anyway, wanted to comment that.
I think I would like to add on what you said. And I have to say that your work was inspiring me when I started. I think it was at the Helsinki Design Day that you had that presentation, and that's sticked with me all the way. So, but there is some words, I don't remember who said that, but I keep repeating it, that clarity is kindness. And for me, it wasn't about the vision, but I was lucky enough in August to be part of delivering on the strategic thinking for the next 2 years coming. And we did a lot of work with the help of a lot of people, not just me, about not just customer journey mapping, but service blueprinting. And really what we worked on was visualizing, all this mess, the processes, the customer journey at the top, the business processes, the internal organization processes, and then the IT. And as we did that, I think the best compliment I got was really about this clarity is kindness. I heard from my boss. So I was reporting to the chief customer officer. And so top business leadership management, who said that thank you for bringing clarity in all that mess. And first I thought that, okay, did I make a mess? And he was like, no, now we understand it. We understand how the customer is there and how all the layers of the organization are working together to deliver on that customer experience. So I think that was the kind of best win before leaving. So in addition to all what you mentioned. So thank you.
We have 5 minutes time, so I think we can open up the floor for questions.
Start pointing.
I'll start pointing. I wait typically like 5 seconds. Sure. Let me bring them. You knew that I'm going to ask.
I prepared. Well, you're So, my name's Jeff. I actually come here. I have one question related to culture. So, for organizations, I believe all of you are with a global presence or international presence. How do you tailor the customer journey strategies to accommodate the regional or cultural variations? Thank you.
That was what a question. Thanks, a good, really good question. I would say we are not there yet, but absolutely we have recognized the complexity. First of all, if we think we are working as KONE within the buildings, and a building is a super complex thing, like building a building, maintaining the operating building, and then kind of demolishing it maybe at some point. And throughout this kind of product lifecycle, we have a lot of different stakeholders. And the role of these stakeholders, from architects to builders to developers, facility managers, the roles do change in different countries. And also, of course, the buildings are pretty different in different countries. So we have kind of recognized that it's super complex if we want to have all this information in journeys, and we want to have this kind of also localized in a way that it would actually be beneficial for example, our front lines in the different countries. So not a ready-made answer, just pointing out a very good question. Thanks.
Maybe I could continue from here, that also about the challenges, not so much about the solution. I think the one thing what challenges also is that the business models, how we do business in different areas, that varies, and that also impacts that how we are interacting with customers and end users. It's not that easy when you are going a bit far away from your. That's also something we need to figure out how to solve it.
Unfortunately, I can't bring any clarity to this either, but I can say from our perspective, I don't think we're there yet, maturity-wise, to do that. I would expect at this level of maturity that our segmentation or personas or profiles that we try to utilize as data for the customer journeys would bring some help. And potentially by developing those, that would kind of be the input to make sure that there is a visible variation where variation is required. But I think that is very ambitious to do, and it'll take us a while to get there, unfortunately.
Okay. Then we have time still for one more question. Who's the lucky one?
Come on.
Question. We brought so much clarity to you.
That's kindness.
Yes, that's why you're so kind.
You.
I can speak up. How to start small. How to start small and scale.
you can think.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, and that's something I realized after I talked that I forgot to mention that. So we often start by the visions, and we start, trying to find out who are the stakeholders and everything. But in all those things, at least that I've presented, start somewhere. Do not keep planning for months and years and weeks. Just start somewhere. So when you do the dashboard, yes, you can have a vision, but that's not important. Start with the data you have, like you mentioned. Start with the segmentation you have. So, and at least in the company I used to be, we really had to do a lot of experimentation because we needed to show the value of doing that. So we were not given like, hey, you have 3 years to build that. You had from day one to start. And look at Valentina because she's still doing that. We had to start experimenting as in parallel we were building the bigger thing. So start with what you have and you build on top. And also that will bring you visibility and credibility. Yeah.
So how we started small was that we kind of did a PR exercise a little bit. We did those snapshots. Everybody, customer journeys weren't a sort of novel or new concept necessarily. We had that situation where everybody was doing it, but kind of in different ways and with different terms and so on. So we did a showcase, both for our direct business and our partner business to kind of illustrate the master kind of customer journeys that we had. Now, there's a lot of complexity. A lot of stakeholders obviously have a lot of detailed journeys, but we kind of just took the master journey and we started there. And we collected what we have and we put it in a visually appealing format with the terminology that we had already managed to start to define. And then we showcased, and then we walked around and we tried to align so that all of the stakeholders would kind of start to see the whole exercise from the same perspective. And then tools and processes and governance kind of has been the next part of the journey that we are actually on at the moment.
Yeah, I think that you can change an organization one project at a time. So just start if you have the visibility into one project, if you are working in one project, at least start in that project. When you get into the next project, you do that customer-centricity in that project again. It's of course super slow and it won't change the organization in a night, but it's better than nothing. And then kind of getting back to the KONE context, as I mentioned, I've been there for 3.5 years, and I think people who were there before really have kind of done a great job. So yeah, it is. We have a pretty customer-centric mindset, or had already when I started to work there. So I have maybe not seen those small baby steps within KONE myself.
And maybe adding what Lotta just said regarding those small wins and small steps. Make a noise. Make a noise about what you have done and what have been the achievements from the day one. Don't expect that something big will happen, what you can announce and communicate. Start that internally and of course externally also to the customers. And maybe one thing which should be started almost from the day one, of course, need some planning. Training employees, your colleagues. The training part is essential, and maybe learning as you go. So combining like real project, real R&D project, real customer project with the customer journey mapping or design thinking and all, and coaching, supporting people to the new ways of work.
No, but it's for you.
No, I want to
Ask another question. Okay.
No. I actually want to piggyback on what Lotta said, that if you have the mantra on that start with customer and end with customer, I think that's when it comes to customer journeys. Like often you start from the kind of inside, okay, this is what we believe that it is. And then if you start with that, they stick to that. And you never get around to actually do it from the customer point of view. So I would say that start with customer. Try to understand even like just few persons. It's better than having none of the customers. And try to map out the customer steps along the journey, not only your visibility to those steps. Now I hear it.
I just wanted to add that do not hesitate also to bring in consultants.
Like external.
No, but I think it's, at first I was like, oh, but why did they hire that consultant? I could have done that. I know all that stuff. But it's very important to bring external voice to complement yours. Because you're already in the inside. You're already kind of biased. So it's very good sometimes to bring in external consultant because they have also been discussing, as you mentioned in your talk, with the higher management. They know how to utilize the right terminology and they can really complement and support your approach. So sorry, I had to do that.
Thank you so much. But I would still say that this is such a magnitude of this change is so big that it's not a project that you can buy outside and then just deliver. The consultant's role should be to really work hand in hand and like maybe be my coach, but your team need to be involved. And that's why you are all here. You are all representing a lot of in-house knowledge. One more. Comment.
Just because I'm thinking about it from the operations perspective, like we talked a lot about the customer experience here, and training was mentioned, which was good. Like we have to take as equally importantly the employee experience on this as much as possible. So like training, but like really mapping how easy it is for the employees as your users as well to get to the information that they need to access it. I know that we all know it, but it's also good to mention that. Thank you.
Really good point. Hey, I want to thank our panelists for your insights and your time.